All right, I'm here with Nuchey from Really Good Gaming, and we're going to do a little, I guess, podcast like conversation. Uh, just talking about what makes Really Good Gaming so awesome and, the whole content creation from Nuchey's side. So, welcome, sir.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah. Uh, so I guess we can start off with what got you started into YouTube and kind of describe what Really Good Gaming's about.
So I actually first got into YouTube in college. I've always had like a love for filmmaking and stuff, and I actually started with a cooking show. It was called Brock's Really Good Cooking All the Time Show, and that was my first YouTube channel. It's really good films where we would like upload. There's like 6 episodes of me just like messing around, cooking like random random things, and really odd ways. And that was just something that was just really fun to do on the side, going through college and stuff. And then we ended up making like a 30-minute short film called Becky, and we entered it into our school film festival. And we had like a theater and like everything, and probably about 100 people there, and everybody was just cracking up like watching this cheesy film we had made. And we actually got viewers choice at that, and it was just such like a gratifying moment, just like seeing something that you created, people just giving you feedback just through laughter. And that's something that I've always liked through content creating, is just to entertain people. I feel like I've always been an entertainer. So then, like, fast forward maybe a year after that, my friend and I started a YouTube channel, Really Good Gaming. And it actually started off, we were playing Outlast, and just kind of our funny reactions to playing through that, scary horror game. And maybe fast forward 6 months after that, and I've always loved Halo Wars, and Halo Wars 2 had been out for maybe like a year at that point. And um, I saw it was actually Unsorted Gaming. He had some videos of like unit battles, and I remember just watching them one day, and I was just thinking, like, like, I mean, I could do this. Like, it's not hard. Like, it's just they're doing all the work. Like, I just need to film it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just unit battles. So, and then really back in the day in Halo Wars 1, that's something my buddy and I would always do, is on deathmatch. We would like make all the bases, and make, I don't remember how high a pop you could get, but in deathmatch, like every base gave you like 10 pop.
Yeah,
And we would
yeah.
just make like massive, like, I would make nothing but vultures and he would make nothing but vampires, and just see like, just see the outcome. Like, we wouldn't record it or anything, but it was just always something that's fun to do. So I just like love RTS games, and I love Halo Wars too. And I thought, like, let's just do this. Let's just do some unit battles and see where it goes. So
There's not a lot of people that um, can kind of express that kind of stuff in various games. Like I feel like RTS games kind of give you that freedom to just kind of explore the map and do whatever you want to do, as long as
it's
you're
so
with like a
true.
friend. You know?
Yeah, it's so true. I look at Halo Wars. It's like, it's really like a Halo like world, like a Halo landscape that you can explore and just kind of do whatever. Like, obviously there's battles and whatnot, but if you really like just stop and look at like the map and how just detailed things are at times, especially if you use the mod on the PC where you can zoom in like incredibly close to things, like it's just incredible, the detail. It really does like feel like you're just, it's like Halo Roller Coaster Tycoon or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like you can build the map to be whatever you want. And yeah, absolutely. It's just amazing. I love Halo Wars too.
So would you say that you like Halo Wars 2 over Halo Wars 1? Like if you had to pick, which one would you say is your favorite?
I would say Halo Wars 2, but Halo Wars 1 will just always have like a special place in my heart, because I literally was still playing that game all the way up until Halo Wars 2 launched,
Yeah, yeah, me too.
like semi regularly. Like, but now if I go back and play it, it feels a little dated, but it's just a classic. Like, just the controls and everything about it. Like, I could literally talk about that. That could be a whole nother podcast just talking about how
Yeah,
amazing and true to, like, Halo that game really is.
it's Halo Wars 1. I don't really know what really makes it. There's not one particular thing that makes it truly special. I think it's just the missions and the units and the soundtrack and the characters and the
Hmm.
environments and uh, I had always loved Halo and I loved Ensemble Studios and the fact that they were able to combine Ensemble Studios made Halo Wars. It was just like a dream come true,
Hmm.
and I loved it. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't forget about Halo Wars. Sometimes, in my opinion, I think 343 pretends it doesn't exist, but I'm glad they made the sequel.
Yeah,
Um,
I think just to touch on Halo Wars 1, like one of my favorite things about it is how the tiers progress, how when you can upgrade units like separately, like you can't really do that in Halo Wars 2. Like the hunters, for example, you can give them like an arm shield and then you could give them the energy beam or
mm-hmm.
whatever. Like in Halo Wars 2, they just have the energy beam, but it's cool because it progresses like how the games progress.
Right.
Like the Banshees in tier 1, like they don't have the boost, but then they do get a boost later and it's like, "Oh, that's cuz in Halo 2, like they got a boost." It's like you're going up the same technology tree, it feels like. So it's just cool how they paid homage to that, really.
And I think part of the my assumption is the reason why they did that is because there's not a lot of unit variety in Halo Wars 1. So they kind of introduced progression by having a lot of upgrade paths. Whereas Halo Wars 2 is kind of the opposite. There's a lot of
Right.
different units, but most units only have one upgrade.
Yeah, and then like even then it's like um the brute grunt squad, like it'll just add like a brute grunt or like they can throw mines now. It's like that's really it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it would have been cool to see that for um the snipers. That was something that was so cool is how you get them a beam rifle, the jackal snipers.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what if the elite rangers could have a beam rifle? And this is kind of beside the point, but what if you could choose which way it went? Like for the grunt squads, what if you could make it a siphon grunt squad where it could have a siphon ability, or maybe you want a heavier grunt squad, like it's you choose one or the other, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, in Halo Wars
Just an
1,
idea.
the Grunt Squad had the Deacon and it like had that little symbol above the Grunt Squad to signify and also like with the Marines once you get the medic
Right.
was a totally different infantry design. Like you could zoom
Yeah.
in on the infantry and you could tell like on that Marine squad that's clearly the medic because they had a
Hmm.
what if they had what like an assault rifle and everyone else had shotguns once you get to ODSTs.
Right. Yeah, they all had shotguns. And really the strange part about it is they have all these units in Halo Wars 2. They're just in Blitz. They're called Armored Marines. It's
Mm-hmm.
only available in Blitz. It's like a totally separate, design. That's the hardest part is just designing the separate units. So why not just incorporate them into the game and, in my opinion. So,
I think my favorite upgrade path from Halo Wars 1 was the Cobras, because once you get deflection plating, you could
yeah.
actually see, like, you would, like, a scorpion would shoot around at the Cobra and it would actually bounce off. You could watch it just bounce away.
Right.
I
I
thought,
would say mine would be the gotta be canister shell.
yeah,
Canister shell
canister shell's
research.
real good too.
Just to listen, honestly, just listen to the announcer announce it was that was my always my favorite part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. So, what would you say your channel is about to someone who's never heard of your channel before?
So chiefly my channel is Halo Wars 2 content, Halo Wars 2 unit battles, kind of turned up to 11 in some cases where we're now, for over a year now we've been doing modded epic unit battles, not even battles that, your typical player would see or even could, do on the Xbox. Like it's all through a special mod that's been made just basically for, my channel and the people who help me film. So, um, that's basically chiefly it. And then with that, I have my Halo Wars 2 Machinimas, which is I'm pretty sure no one else has any Halo Wars 2 Machinimas, so I'm pretty proud about that. Like they don't exist outside of my channel. I have two Halo Wars 2 Machinimas. Taming of the Hunters was the first one I made, and then the second one I made is called Trials of the Arbiter. And those are two Machinimas that I'm really proud of, and just seeing how it's kind of going back to this me doing like a cooking show thing. Like that was just started as a joke. We just thought like, wouldn't it be funny if I had a cooking show? And then one day we just did it, and that just shows how like literally just a little bit of ambition can just turn into like this running joke that becomes like this very serious thing. And that's exactly what happened with this Halo Wars 2 Machinima. Was my friend who I always film with. He was like, "Hey, like, what if we like had try to see how many Goliaths the Arbiter could take on, and we'll call it Taming of the Hunters." And then like when it came to editing that, I was like, "Well, I could like throw in some funny lines here, and like I could make the Arbiter talk." And that's just kind of how it started, and then it just ended with like this very like dramatic yet still comedic, machinima series that like people love. I still get messages about it today, like people saying they finished the series, and I'm like, that's just something that's really special to my heart.
Yeah, it's always cool to have content that you're, of course, like I think all creators are proud of the content they put on their platform, but like, like a specific example where you're like, this is the best that we've ever made.
Yeah,
And
it's just it's just something. It's just fun to entertain people. It's just nothing like it. So
yeah, I don't really have anything to compare it to. I guess I would say like the 4 hour long Super Turtle game I've done with Ed.
yeah,
We,
yeah, I
we've
would say that.
we've done it. We've gone over 3.5 hours 3 times in 3 separate videos, and I don't know. I just feel like Ed and I, you lock us up for that long, and we just watching. I sometimes will just put it on and listen to it myself because it's been so
hmm
long. I don't remember what we said, and it. I think we're
The,
funny, but I know we're not everyone's cup of tea.
the thing that's I think is just so comical about it is because I mean you're just trolling, and
Yeah.
but really it's almost like a psychological like form of torture that you're putting on yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's a 4 hour game, like just to see how long you can last. And
Yeah.
it's like this it's pointless, but it's just like hilarious at the same time. Like I think that's really funny.
You ever have it where if you do something for a long time, repetitively, you dream about it? Do you ever have that?
Um
So, like an example is
mhm,
I remember, very vividly in those turtles that lasted 3 hours long. We did that late at
mhm.
night, so it was like 2 o'clock in the morning when we were done or whatever. And I went to bed right after, and I dreamed all night about that match. Not
Oh, okay,
and it
gotcha.
was kind of like I don't know. It wasn't like a pleasant dream. It wasn't like a nightmare, but it was just kind of like this is never going to end.
You super turtled your dream.
Yeah. It sounds really weird, but like Thomas told me just today. My friend Thomas was playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla like all day yesterday, and he had
Mhm.
a dream about it, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think if you do something all day, like you're probably more likely to dream about that. I usually just dream about something that like sticks with me throughout the day, or just something. I don't know. I have really messed up dreams. That's like a whole nother topic. I have really
Yeah,
weird dreams, like about the army or something, or like being in the army,
yeah.
what that would be like. So probably just watching too many action movies.
Well, what would you say? What are the games you enjoy besides Halo Wars 2? Do you play on any other platforms, any other gaming platforms? Are you secretly like a PlayStation guy or something?
I wouldn't say I'm secretly a PlayStation guy. I'm just like a low key uh PlayStation gamer sometimes, if that's even like a thing. I do have a PlayStation 4, and it's funny, I actually only bought it because I was trying to buy a monitor off Facebook Marketplace, and for whatever reason, this guy like wanted to sell his PlayStation 4 with the monitor. Like it was a package bundle. Like I was like, "Oh, cool." It was like super cheap. I was like, "Is there anything wrong with it?" He's like, "No, I just want to get rid of it." And it's like, "Okay, I guess I'm buying a PlayStation 4 today." So he sold me his computer monitor and PlayStation 4 for like I think like 180 bucks or something. It was like
Wow.
an incredible deal. I was shocked. And I played God of War on that. It's a really phenomenal game, God of War, like the reboot, the newest one.
Mm-hmm.
And I played. I actually own Modern Warfare on that one. Also, the reboot, the newest one. Um, but other than that, I have really been getting into. I mean, obviously, I play MCC, and then I've been actually getting into Assassin's Creed Odyssey lately.
Ooh.
I haven't touched an Assassin's Creed game since the was it 3, they're like numbered weird. It was the one with like George Washington in it, and you were like a Native American Assassin's Creed. And I don't know, I want to just kind of I didn't like that one as much, and I feel like after that I just never got into Assassin's Creed again, and just randomly, I think it was like I had a trial or something I could do with Odyssey, and I was playing it. I was like, this is actually really fun. Like it's different. It's not like your traditional Assassin's Creed. It's more RPG than anything. There's even like dialogue choices,
Yeah.
um, and like other decisions you can make. It's almost like a Mass Effect game, which I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. I'm really looking forward to the remaster coming out. I'm hoping that that has multiplayer because I love Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, playing as like all the different species and stuff. So I'm hoping they also remastered the multiplayer for that because that's something I'm really looking forward to.
So did you ever play Black Flag Assassin's Creed 4?
Mm-mm,
I in my
no,
opinion, I think that's the best one. That's the one where you're like a pirate in the Caribbean
yeah,
at the height of piracy back then, and it was just it's so good. I just wrapped it up like just last year, and it's simply fantastic. And I haven't played Odyssey, but I have played Origins, and
hmm
that's very similar. And then Valhalla is pretty similar as well to Odyssey and Origins. So yeah, I'm totally right there with you with Assassin's Creed. It's one of my favorite series. I agree. I don't like 3 at all. I actually think 3 is kind of terrible.
hmm
And they even remastered 3, and I tried that again, and it's still not
Oh, they
there.
did. That's
Yeah,
funny. It's interesting games they'll remaster. I think they didn't they also remaster Assassin's Creed Rogue. It
they did,
was
and
called.
they did, and I'm in the small camp that I actually really like Rogue. It's very similar to Black Flag.
I've actually never played that one. Yeah, I think I skipped that one for some reason. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I love the Assassin's Creed story. I think it's just really cool, like the idea of going into this machine and living like the events of a past life. And honestly, something I really like about Assassin's Creed is just the detail they go into, in the cities and the way they just like they do it justice. Like they do it justice so much that when the Cathedral Notre Dame burnt down, they did you hear that they're actually using like the specifications and like the data from Ubisoft to like rebuild that because
No, I didn't know
they
that.
yeah, they had such detailed like work. Like when I first read that, it was the headline was kind of weird. It was like architects using what is it, like Assassin's Creed Unity's, I think that's the game it's in. Assassin's Creed Unity's like Notre Dame Cathedral, to rebuild it or something. And I was just thinking like, what are they gonna like pick up a copy and like go walk around the city, like look at it? But then like I read into it more, and they're like basically just like looking at just all the measurements and everything that they had. Like it's actually to scale in that game. Like they do stuff to scale. It's just like incredible work they do. That I don't think it gets overlooked, but it's definitely something that can kind of fade into the background because it is so authentic. When
Right.
you're playing an Assassin's Creed game, it's just the detail and everything they go into. It's just honestly pretty breathtaking.
It's a good series. I mean, it does get a lot of flack for kind of bloating their games, or
Yeah,
even Origins had that problem too. So I can understand that, but I do think the series needed to go in the direction it needed to go in because there's so many Renaissance era cities
right.
that you can have your game in. I mean, it's good for them to do this RPG thing, but I know some people disagree. But the series is selling better now than it ever has been.
Yeah, I think it's still. I mean, it's different from your like typical Assassin's Creed game, but it's like you said, like they've done that so many times that they needed a little bit of a shakeup. It needed to kind of just be more like a like Mass Effect, like
Yeah,
having the dialogue and choosing that and stuff. I think is, I mean, it's obviously paying off, like you said. Like it's getting people back into the game. Like I never thought I'd play Assassin's Creed game again, honestly, just because it's there is a lot of time investment. I feel like just like following people and stuff like that. Like there's always like the dialogue where it's like, okay, get on this horse and walk with me, and we're gonna like walk for like 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna tell you to go assassinate this guy. But it's much more streamlined in Odyssey, which I like because now I'm older. I like have so much less free time. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
can't just play for 8 hours straight. Like it's got to just be streamlined to where I can play
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. And uh, growing up, I was actually a big PlayStation guy myself, and then I switched over during the 360 era, and I got a Xbox 360, and that's where I got introduced to Halo, and then
Oh,
later
really?
Halo Wars. Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
and then I actually switched back to PS4 at the beginning of the last generation because I didn't like the Kinect and just the way they were going about with the rollout of the Xbox One, and all my friends did the same. We all kind of do this as a group, so we're all playing together. And anyway, they announced Halo Wars 2, and that's actually what brought me back to Xbox.
Really? Huh.
But I've now flipped again. I
Yeah.
I've always had my PS4 and I play it occasionally, but it's really within the last few months I've almost exclusively been playing on PlayStation. And
Hmm.
I
Did
was
you add me?
no, we got to add each other.
I think I remember you like messaged me or you commented on Twitter. You said like, "What's your gamer or your whatever it's called?" Um, I think it's Busta Brickles. I didn't know if that was it though, so I was wondering if it like didn't work or something because I don't know. It's like just an inside joke nickname, I guess. Busta Brickles is what it's called, and
I'm
I'm
actually
pretty sure that's what it
on.
is.
Uh, no, I'm not friends with the Busta Brickles.
Busta, I think it's yeah, Busta and then Brickles. Busta Brickles.
Uh, I'm searching. There we
I
go.
don't. All right, there you go. Yeah, I don't even have like the online for it though. I used to, but then I was like, well, now I'm paying for like Xbox Live and like PlayStation Online. Like it's just too much.
Yeah, I
But
I just sent
yeah, I
you a
just play
friend
like
request.
offline games. All right, sweet.
Um, I'm pretty big into trophy hunting. I really like the trophy hunting or just the trophy system in general. I like it so much better than achievements. I like that
Hmm.
there's dedicated values to what the trophy is worth, besides like some sort of arbitrary random number they assign to achievements.
Yeah, that's true. And then what's I think's dumb about the achievements is you can get like the rare achievements. It's got like a little diamond will come up when you get the achievement, and it's just based off how many other players, like percentage wise, who own that game got that achievement. But a lot of times, it might be like a par score, achievement in like Master Chief Collection or something like that. Like it doesn't. It's not something that feels really rare, like maybe a lasso achievement or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, there is no thought process into what is a rare achievement and what isn't. It's just based off percentages, and it's like I don't know,
I
kind of
complain
dumb.
about achievements all the time, and no one seems to listen to me. But the what bugs me so much about achievement lists is just go look at the Master Chief Collection achievement list, and it's because you really can't. There's what 700 achievements,
Yeah,
and
there's so many.
they're not organized in any fashion.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's so many achievements in there. If I'm like hunting an achievement, I'll just take a picture
Hmm.
of the description on my phone, and
Hmm.
it's just easier to go back to the picture than it is to actually
To
look.
MCC's credit, though, at least you can in the game you can look and it's separated by game. Like you can look at Halo 3 and see all the like achievements there, which one you have and which ones you don't. But you're right. If you
Yeah,
just go to the achievement list on the Xbox, it's just like one super long list that is really hard to find what you're looking for.
and I just love the platinum trophy. How it has that platinum icon next to the game, and so as soon as and the platinum, how you earn it has never changed. You have to get all the other trophies to get the platinum. So when I see someone has a profile of like 4 or 5 platinums, I immediately know, okay, they did 100% of trophies in 4 or 5 different games. And
Yeah,
it's
that
just an
that is
extra
cool.
reward for your for
Hmm.
the metagame in it as well. I just think that's kind of cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a. I mean, but with how the system is now, like, you have people like me who've been just racking up achievements for so long. Like, how would they, how would they change it? It's almost like
Yeah.
it's too far gone.
Well, I think the problem just kind of is from the very beginning, which is they were first. Achievements came out first, and then trophies
Yeah,
came out after that. And I think that's kind of why trophies are better, because PlayStation was able to look at achievements and like, okay, this is a good foundation, but how can we build upon it?
yeah.
And
Maybe for the Series X, they could have actually like changed it. Just for Series X games,
yeah,
just
yeah,
moving forward.
I don't
Because what
know.
else would you do? You can't like go back and change like all the 360 achievements to be like it's some kind of tier list. But you could do that
No,
moving forward with games like Halo Infinite.
I think they should. If I really had to like come up with some sort of organization for trophies, it had to. I would say like you have to have sub lists for DLC or expansion packs, like how PlayStation does, and then you need to require like certain numbers. So instead of achievements being like 3 points or 2 points or 15 points or whatever, it needs to be like 5, 10, 25, 50, 100 gamer
Hmm.
score.
Yeah, there's some achievements that are like literally like 2 points.
Yeah, yeah, I think my gamer score ends in like 3, and I can never
Yeah,
change it because achievements are only in increments of 5 now,
right.
and that's bugged me for literally years.
I think mine ends in a 7, and you're right. It also bugs me. Maybe I'm just too OCD for it, or we both are. But
Yeah,
it's something that kind of gets into your skin. It's like, I don't like that.
yeah, but yeah, I was lucky enough to just kind of get online one day, and Best Buy was selling PS5s, and I was able to get one.
You have a
I
PS5?
do. I've only had it for like 4 days
Wow.
now.
How is it?
I like it a lot.
Is it? It's big though, right? It's like a
It's a big
big.
boy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
um it's not like outrageously big. It is outrageously big, let's be honest, but it's I don't really know how to describe it. It looks very alien like,
Hmm.
but I think it looks cool.
Okay. Yeah, I've
And
never seen one in person. I've just seen like all the memes and
yeah, yeah,
stuff
it's pretty
online.
big, but I really think the game changer is their controller. And
Oh yeah, but it's nice that they actually came out with a new controller on like the Series X. And I mean, it is big, but I mean, look at like a PC. Like a PC is, you know.
yeah, and but the controller is just so good, and it's hard to describe how a controller can be so good, and it's really just something that you just need to use it. And it's really
It looks cool.
it looks cool, and it feels great, and the vibration is fantastic, and there's a lot of tech in this controller. It even has a mic on the controller.
Really.
Yeah, and
Like,
like you can
oh, like noise will come out of it,
yeah, it has a
or you can
speaker
talk
too.
into it.
It
Can you talk
both.
into it?
Yeah, it has both.
Oh, really? Gotcha. Yeah, the PS4 has like a little mic in it.
Yeah, it's just
And the touchpad. I've always liked the touchpad. Have you ever played that's the other game I was thinking of earlier that I couldn't think of. It's not Beyond, it's Detroit Become Human. Have you ever played that?
I own it, but I've never played it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta play it. It's like it's so good. It's like playing through an interactive movie. Like you are literally doing all the movements. Have you ever seen like the gameplay or anything?
I have. Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, it's just like doing all the motions and stuff. Like it gets very frantic, like running away from like a bad guy or something. You literally have to like make your character like frantically like find the keys and unlock the door and stuff like that. And it's actually a really cool story. It's all about like a robotic like revolution and stuff. And
It's like
it's
iRobot the game.
yeah, it's like iRobot, and it has like amazing graphics, like phenomenal graphics. I think you would really like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
You should
what
do a. Can you record on your PS5?
you can, yeah.
Like I mean, have you set it up to where you can?
Yeah, yeah, and
You have a capture card?
yep, I do. Yeah.
Dude, you should do it. Upload it to the channel. Or do you have another channel? Do you have like a
I do.
two channels?
Yeah, I do have a second channel.
All right, guys, comment down below if you want to see a playthrough of Andrew playing through Detroit Become Human, which honestly is kind of a dumb name, but great game.
Yeah. I actually ended up getting a Series X first, and then I gave it to my brother-in-law because he was still rocking the old VCR Xbox One, and that
Really?
thing was just
Nice.
barely getting by. So he needed an
Yeah.
upgrade, and So,
There you go. Well,
um,
dang, you just gave it to him.
well, I sold it to him for the price I paid for it.
Well, there you go. That's fair.
Um, but
I was gonna say
I
that'd be a nice Christmas, a nice Christmas present.
but if I
Dang.
had to pick between the two, I would pick PS5.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't really have a desire to upgrade to the Series X. I have an Xbox One X, and I feel like it'll run Infinite just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have like a PC if I want to get Infinite on there as well. So I'm assuming it'll have Play Anywhere or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it
So
should. It should.
yeah, so definitely looking forward to Infinite. I think it was good that they delayed it, but at the same time, it's like just want to play. I mean, hopefully the beta comes out soon, and it's just the radio silence that I'm not a big fan of. Is just comparing it back to the Bungie days when we had like Vidocs and I mean Friday updates. I still remember I would read like all the Friday updates leading up to like Halo Reach and Halo ODST, and them just throwing in little hints in there about like a garbage truck and whatnot. And I remember we were all thinking like, what is going to involve like a garbage truck? Like, I feel like there's not much of that with this game coming up. They're not really teasing anything at this point. I mean, the game was supposed to come out in November, and they weren't really doing it back then either. You know what I mean? So I
What
hope that changes, and I hope they do start to just throw some little teasers in there and stuff like that.
what I find so amazing in a bad way about Infinite is they did the reveal in June of 2020, and then the game was going to ship in November of 2020, and
Uh-huh.
you need about a month to go through certification and producing the discs and everything. So they really only had about 3 to 4 months after between the reveal gameplay reveal that we saw and when the game needed to be done, and
Right.
they ended up delaying it for over a year. And if you're whoever's in charge of the project, or whoever's the head of the 343 studio, I think it's Bonnie Ross, like, did no one like say like this is not ready before then? I just feel like all of a sudden they were shocked and be like, oh, this game's not ready, let's delay it for over a year. And that's pretty significant.
Well, I mean, really what happened was Joseph Joseph Staten rather. He works at Microsoft Studios. He was essentially sent there for Microsoft Studios to like investigate. I feel like, I could just totally see them saying, okay, like they weren't sending him there to clean up any mess. They were going there like, figure this out. Like we need this game to launch like good, no matter when it launches. Like they had already been throwing out those little, breadcrumbs to begin with. I remember Phil Spencer was saying like, Series X is gonna launch regardless of Halo Infinite launched with it. But Halo Infinite needs to launch like a good complete game. So they sent, Staten there, and he came back with his synopsis that the game, needs at least a year of polish. And I mean, it's looking like it's going to pay off. We saw those, high res screenshots and stuff, and it looked a lot better from the gameplay
Yeah,
we saw.
I'm
But
not.
you're right. Like, it's weird that they waited so long to even show gameplay because we couldn't offer our feedback before it was too late. Like, you want that feedback from your fans. Like, you can't just have internal feedback. Like, they have playtesters and stuff, but it's just not. You just can't compare that to your broader audience. They waited too long. Maybe it had something to do with COVID, but who knows?
I hate to
We'll never know.
sound negative about Infinite constantly, but I don't know who in their right mind thought that those graphics looked next gen. It I thought it
Yeah,
looked last gen. I thought it was like 360,
yeah, and that's just what's so weird about it. And even the way it was presented, like it ended with that brute Escrium. I call him Scrotum Face because literally he's like an inch away from the camera, and like he has just like almost PlayStation 2 like
Yeah.
effects on his face, and it's like, okay, if your game isn't going to be super graphic intensive, like why present it in that way? You know what I mean? And imagine if he looked as detailed as Aatrox does in the Halo Wars 2 blur cutscenes. Like imagine if it looked like that. That would have just blown everybody out of the water. That would have been amazing. But instead it's like, you just have these lackluster graphics for your next gen console. Like those two things just don't add up.
I find it hilarious the similarities between how Halo and Star Wars have been handled. It's almost been like
Hmm.
simultaneously the same outcome, like Disney
Yeah.
creates a sequel trilogy of films and it doesn't live up to expectations and it's very divided among fans. And then Xbox or Microsoft creates a sequel trilogy for Halo
Mhm.
and it's the same outcome.
It's
And
true.
uh, you know,
Well, it definitely has to do with honoring the source material, and I mean that like we could talk about the Star Wars series forever, but I'll just say quickly, I think the biggest thing in the Last Jedi that really was the biggest mistake they made was not paying homage to Luke's character like it is in the OG trilogy, because he gave up, and that was Luke's thing. Is like I mean, he never gave up. It's like A New Hope is all about having hope, and all these things like, and then he just like throws his lightsaber away for comic relief, and he doesn't, he doesn't act like a Jedi, and that's what I think. I mean, there's lots of mistakes with that movie, and there's lots of good things about that movie, and that's why it was so divisive. But
yeah.
it's not what you don't want a divisive like Star Wars movie. It's
And
like supposed to be fun, you know.
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, well, first let me start by saying I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, but I really do enjoy the Star Wars universe and the films and everything. But
Hmm.
I thought that it would have been much, much cooler if Rey was Obi-Wan's granddaughter
Hmm.
or somehow related to Obi-Wan. I thought that would have been really cool. And then I thought in Last Jedi we were going to see an actual lightsaber battle between Luke and Kylo Ren because there was
Hmm.
that tension building up between them the entire time. And
Yeah, and there was no lightsaber battle at all in that movie.
yeah, yeah,
The only Star Wars movie not to have a lightsaber battle. Like, how can you even do that?
yeah. And, and I don't know. I thought that they really, for when they get into the Rise of Skywalker, they just kind of pull Palpatine out of
Yeah,
thin
thin air.
air, and that bugs me because that completely invalidates his original death and
Hmm.
kind of almost the redemption arc for Darth Vader. It almost ruins it.
Yeah, it
And
almost does, and that's yeah, it's just really sad. I feel like and then now you have like the Mandalorian, and they're making all these great Star Wars games. Like Battlefront 2 started off really questionable, but now it's like Battlefront 2 is amazing. Um, and then what's the other one? The RPG one.
Old
Um,
Republic.
no, with the redhead guy.
Oh, Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, like I mean, that game got a lot of really good reviews. People like surprisingly really like that game. So it definitely feels like, and again with Halo, like it feels like they're both on the up and up. It feels like we're going in the right direction. Um, but really only time will tell if they follow through with it.
Yeah, yeah. I think in the next few months we'll get some better information on Infinite, and I don't think it's going to be as bad as Halo 5's campaign. I think it's actually going to be a pretty good campaign. It looks like they've learned their lesson and taking a step back from shoving Prometheans down our face.
Do you
And
think there will be Prometheans at all?
I think we'll see them, but if my assumption is that Halo Infinite is going to be some sort of massive campaign where it's not going to be your typical 8 to 12 hour campaign. It's going to be like a 30 to 40 hour campaign if I had to guess. And
Hmm.
since it's open world, there's probably going to be places where you start missions, kind of like how you do in Fallout, where it's an open world shooter, but you have to go to specific locations to start missions. But you'll interact with enemies almost anywhere. And I think some side quest missions will have Prometheans, or some of the enemies you'll see on the Halo ring that it takes place on will be Prometheans. But we know that the main opposing force here is the Banished. But based on Halo Wars 2's ending, we still have this Guardians problem, and I think they're going to address that in this game.
So my prediction is I don't know if it'll be 30 hours. I think it'll definitely be like the longest. Halo game compared to Halo 4 and Halo 5. But my biggest thing I think is going to happen with this game is they're going to have campaign DLC that's going to continue the story, well past launch. Like,
Right,
you know,
because they said it's a 10-year platform, and
hmm
they can't do 10 years of Halo simply on multiplayer. There's going to be some expansion packs, and
right.
that's where I get
And
excited about Halo Wars, because that game ends on a complete cliffhanger, and the ending did not do the
yeah,
game justice. So I wonder if they're leaving that open on purpose because they're going to continue the Spirit of Fire story through Halo Infinite DLC.
I could see that happening, but I think they'll also um, there'll also be new areas of the ring that will be like unlocked through campaign DLC. So it's like what you were saying, like it'll unlock new open world areas with like the new DLC storyline, but then when you beat the DLC storyline, you also have these new areas just to explore and go back to and do little side missions, stuff like that. Um, on top of it. So, and then when it's done, I think the whole ring will be unlocked. And I do think there will be flood in this game. I think there has to be,
Yeah,
honestly.
I think it's going to be the most complex Halo game. I mean, there's a lot to balance already now. You got the two bros of Master Chief and Spartan Locke, and then they pulled Arby into the mix on top of that, and then you got the Spirit of Fire still hanging out, and then
hmm
then we have the Prometheans and the Banished and the Covenants in a Civil War. I mean, there's a lot, and I think I'm starting to see maybe the reason why they started up all of these things that have all these loose ends is to keep it going after release. This is all going to be expanded upon over time, is my guess. I could be wrong, but I hope they do that.
I hope so too, and I hope we do see Halo Wars 2 characters, but I also hope that we do eventually get a Halo Wars 3
Yeah.
because it just feels like, you know, there's just so many people that love, the RTS genre. And, we saw the pitch meeting um, ideas that they had for Halo Wars 3. And honestly, it looked really cool. Like the idea of, RTS space battles and, just stuff like that. Like, that's something that everybody really likes the ships in Halo. And, we don't really see them that often, I feel like, in the main games. And, maybe there's a little bit of mystery to that. But I don't know. I would love to see like a game where you could control like all the ships, and even Forerunner ships would be cool as well.
Yeah, I think that would be really neat. Part of me thinks the reason why they shut down Halo Wars 3 is because they knew Infinite was going to be a 10-year platform, so they didn't want to be competing with themselves, more or less.
hmm
And part of what
I could
makes
see
Halo
that.
Wars so much fun is its simplicity. It's a really simple RTS game, and I think going into space, you're going to have to add a lot of complexity to get it to work in the same sense of what made Halo Wars 1 and 2 so good. It'd be such a diversion as well. I don't know what you make on unit variety besides bigger and smaller ships. So,
I mean, there's lots of different ships, just in the lore, but yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be just space battles. I don't think it would. You'd have like both.
yeah. Yeah, I think
So
it's actually still too soon. I think 2 years from now would be a good time to start asking, hey, where's Halo Wars 3? But
right.
I think, firstly, the game Halo Wars 2 needs to come to Steam. It
Ooh, what if there was flood ships? That'd be kind of cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right though. We definitely need it on Steam. Um, you know, with all the benefits that Steam comes with, I mean, for the modding community as well, like there's so many modding tools that opens up. I mean, have you seen some of the mods on Halo Wars 1 just because that game's on Steam?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I've seen they made I mean they make like they do silly things like make like Star Wars like ships and stuff and Halo Wars 1, and like that stuff looks really cool, or like certain walkers and stuff. But then I saw today they added the Halo 3 like cut Guardian that you might have seen in like rejected shotguns
Yeah.
mods before. It's like that same exact design, and it's in Halo was one. I saw that was actually uploaded today on Black and Fan's channel. It was like just the Guardian fighting like a scarab. Spoilers: the Guardian lost, but it was still cool. It was a really cool unit.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, I guess it's a great time to talk about what is your favorite Halo game. Not include if you had to take Halo Wars 2 out of the conversation.
Favorite Halo game? I would say it's got to be Halo 3, but it's close between Halo 3 and probably Halo 1 because I actually like Halo 1 was one of the first games I ever played, like, period. I actually didn't have a console until the original Xbox. That was my first console, and I was almost a Sony fan.
Oh, missed
Because I would
opportunity.
go, yeah, I would go over to my friend's house, and we would play Ratchet and Clank. I remember, and on his PlayStation 2, and I was like, man, this is like awesome. Like I asked my dad if I could get a PlayStation 2, and he told me no, only if I could pay for it, uh, so that I would like earn it. So I was like, okay. So like all summer long, I was like a little kid. I would like mow my grandma's like lawn and stuff, and like do all these extra chores, like save up all my money till I had enough money to go and buy a PlayStation 2. And by that time, it was just so happened we went to Best Buy. It was the launch day of not the launch day of the original Xbox, but the launch of Halo. And one of the Best Buy employees, like I'll never forget, he came and he was like, "Hey, like I know you're here to buy PlayStation 2, but they just launched this new game. It's called Halo, and you might really like it." And my dad was like, "Do you want to get an Xbox instead?" And I just thought about it for a sec, and I said, sure." It's the rest is history. Like I have the original Xbox, like um the special one that's like the Halo Edition one. So I'm thinking of. Um, and I used to play that just like nonstop, just over and over again. Because obviously there's no online. I would just play like the campaign over and over again. And it's really the same for Halo 2. So then when I eventually got a 360, which was like a year after Halo 3 had launched. No, wait, that's not it. So I had Halo 3 on launch, but I never had live. But then when I did get live, like a year later, it was like a whole new world because I never played live. I never even played Halo 2 online. I just never had online before, and Halo 3 was like one of the first online games I'd ever played, and I just like so many memories with that. Just like everybody else who played Halo 3 back in the day, like it was just like such a golden era of gaming, and I feel like we'll never get another Halo 3. Even if they eventually do make a Halo 3 anniversary, like we'll never get just a golden age like that where there was just Xbox Live like voice chat. It's all just in parties now. Like there's just all the nostalgia. You can replicate it and shine it up with fancy graphics, but unless you like lived it during that time, it's just like you know that it'll never happen again. And
Yeah. Yeah,
part of
well,
that's sad, but I mean, there's still good times to have on Xbox, but it's just like looking back on it, it's just like, dang, like we didn't know we had it so good. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of feeling.
I think part of it is also due to the fact that there's so many good shooters out now.
Hmm.
There's Siege, there's Fortnite, there's Overwatch, there's like Counter Strike's having a really good, uh, it's still like killing it on Steam. I
Still,
mean,
yes, still kicking. That's right.
Call of
Uh,
Duty's still a good shooter, and
yeah.
it's there's a lot of competition now, and I think a lot of the older Halo fans have gotten impatient or
Hmm.
have moved on to other things, and I think that shows in the population count for MCC. I think it's disrespectfully low on how few people play MCC these days. But
Yeah.
I'm kind of in that camp as well. Like I just don't want to play 10-year-old Halo game multiplayer matches. Like it's fun to
Yeah.
like play every once in a while and reminisce, but I don't know. It just doesn't have the same flair that it used to, even though the games run better and look better. I think it's just because I've done it so much. I'm kind of
Yeah.
tired of it. But this is coming from some guy that has like who's been playing nothing but Halo Wars for 4 years. So it doesn't make any
No,
sense.
no, I totally get what you're saying, and even like, I mean, it's like the MCC is like this amazing thing. Like, it's this timeless collection of Halo games. Like, people will be playing it 20 years from now. Like, somebody like me who will like save up all their money to go buy a PlayStation, like, 10 at this point. You know what I mean? And then like they'll go and they'll get an Xbox and they'll get MCC and like they'll play through the games and fall in love with them. But
Yeah, it's a
it's
must
like
own.
that's an amazing, yeah, it's like this amazing collection, and that's something that's really special. But at the same time, for us longer veteran Halo fans, like, we just want something new. Like, we want to see, if you're gonna bring Chief back, like, they didn't even need to bring Chief back. I think that was like 343's honestly one of their first mistakes was going right into Halo 4. I always thought they should have gone further back into like the Covenant War, and that's what we saw with Halo Reach. And people like Halo Reach's like online gameplay, there was like some weird things like armor lock and stuff like that. But overall, like, people really liked the story. People really liked, this like gritty, like, boots on the ground, like fighting for this planet. Like, imagine if they'd done that with like a Halo Harvest or whatever. Like, you can call it whatever, like, people will buy it. You know what I mean? Like, I think they thought we were just super attached to Chief, but we really weren't. Like, you even look at ODST, people love ODST. Some people say ODST is like their favorite Halo game out of all of them, and it's just like, because it's a different story, it's a different take on Halo in a sense. So
That's why I
like,
love
why not
Halo
flesh
Wars
that
so
out?
much.
Yeah, exactly. Then of course with Halo Wars, like, so why not flesh that out? Why not, like, don't whore out, the Halo name, but we don't want, like, what we probably don't want is like, games like what is it, Spartan Strike, or the little tablet games. Like,
Yeah, that
those
was
games are cool, I guess, but it's like there's no in between. It's like we have mainline Halo, and then like obviously Halo Wars 2, and then they have like an arcade Halo game, Fire Team Raven, and then like the little like phone tablet games. Like, why are there no other spin-off games besides Halo Wars 2? You know what I mean? Like,
and I
I would love to
worry
see more.
I worry that we're not going to see a spin-off game for over 10 years now, because if Infinite's
Right.
going to be their one platform for 10 years, unfortunately, I think that's shut the door at all spin-offs. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong.
Hmm.
But, if they're going to
I
make a
think you're right.
spin-off of
Yeah.
something, they'll probably say, well, why don't we just put it at Infinite?
Yeah. All right. So here's a question for you, and it relates to what you're just saying. Other than Halo Wars 3, if you like, you had the keys to the castle, you could tell 343 to make any Halo spin-off game, and they would do it, or like, they'll commission some other studio to do it. What would it be? Can't be Halo Wars 3 though.
I think I'd really like to see some sort of shooter about the insurrectionists and
Oh, okay.
what got the Spartan program started.
Hmm.
Kind of like a real dark, gritty kind of game.
Would you play as an insurrectionist, or what who would you play as?
Yeah, I think it would be kind of interesting to kind of flip everything on its side, where you're fighting the UNSC as they're trying to, and get a little political with it. Like, why, like, what makes the insurrectionists fight for what they're fighting
Hmm.
for? And would it be kind of like what they see in Elder Scrolls, where the Legion faction in Elder Scrolls are like kind of trying to put the Empire's rule over you no matter what. It was, whereas the Stormcloaks are
Right.
like fighting for their freedom. I think if you take that approach between the insurrectionists and the UNSC,
Hmm.
that'd be interesting, because I think not a lot of people realize that the Spartan program was pretty messed up. You're
Right.
kidnapping children, and then you're replacing the children with faulty clones that eventually die. And
Yeah, I
then,
always thought that was like really smart and cool though, like the way they did it. They're like, oh, we can't just kidnap these kids. Like, we gotta we gotta make them have some. We gotta clone them, make them have some disease. You know what I mean? Like, that's also messed up too. Like, no one will question it. Like, he died of smallpox. It's fine.
I
It's
would
fine.
say either that, or I think taking Halo into other forms of media would be cool, like a horror game where,
Oh yeah.
like, it's like you're a Marine squad that got left on one of the Halo rings in Halo 2 or something, and
Hmm.
the Flood is chasing you, and it's horrifying.
That would be really cool. See, that's what we need though. Like we need more stuff like that.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
just all the same in MCC, and it's cool that they're adding like, the El Dorito armors and stuff. But I think you're right. People just want like more, and it doesn't. That's what I was saying before. Is it doesn't have to be Chief related. Like, and they went through all the trouble of bringing Chief back just for us to wait around to see what's going to happen next. Like, I just don't think that's what people wanted. I think, imagine if they had spent all the time up until now working on other Halo games, and then like they wouldn't have like numbers at all. And then imagine if now, like the next game was like Halo 4 was coming out, like, and they were bringing the Chief back. You know what I mean? That would be like insane. There'd be so much hype. Like they just went right into Halo 4. I feel like too quick,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like people wanted, just more. I mean, there's 28 years of Human Covenant War that there's so much history there. Like, why not show more of it? Why not go backwards? That's even what Bungie started to do. They started to go backwards after Halo 3, obviously. We had ODST and then Reach. Like, why not have a Halo Harvest?
Yeah, I agree.
So, I don't think I would if I could tell 343 make a game, though, I don't think it would be a Halo Harvest. I think that would be cool. Playing as, like, or Johnson, or maybe even have a Johnson cameo since he was on Harvest. Um, but I think this would be a really cool idea. Uh, it would be set on High Charity when High Charity falls and you're playing as one of the last honor guards, because like the brutes became the honor guards. And then it was cool seeing Halo 2 how like some elites like were still wearing the honor guard armor. You kind of thought in your head like, oh, they didn't want to give up their armor. They'd rather like fight and die, basically. So you're like one of the last honor guards. The gameplay starts, you're fighting brutes. The Civil War has happened, and then bam, like the flood hits, and the rest of the game is basically like this three-way like turf war, like flood, brutes, elites. And you could even have like a Cortana cameo. I always thought that, in my head canon, is that Cortana tried to like help the Covenant like fight the flood. Like she would like shut down parts of the city and like quarantine it off, or like turn off certain elevators or something like that. Like that's my head canon, that she tried to help as much as she could. But I just think like that would be so cool. Like, and playing as like an elite main game, like that would be epic, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. That sounds really cool.
Mainline elites. Yeah.
Well, we've been going here for almost an hour. uh,
Dang. Time flies.
it does. Well, let's wrap this up here with a couple other questions.
Sure.
What other hobbies do you have outside of YouTube?
Um, let's think. I I mean, I used to I feel like I used to be like really athletic and play sports and stuff along with video games, but then ever since like COVID hit, like I have like no drive to go out and do any sports, I feel like, and or go to a gym or anything like that. But I used to like to play like tennis and racquetball, if like that counts as a hobby. Um, but really I just consider myself like a really creative person. So I do have other non-Halo related like projects that I've been working on for really since 2016 now, like on and off. I have a book I've been writing since then, and it's like super long. It's like over 100 pages on Microsoft Word, like single spaced. It's like the longest thing I've ever written, and that's something that I'm not really ready to talk about too much yet because it's still not finished. But I work on that whenever I am not working on Halo Wars 2 content or YouTube stuff. Um, I wish I could do YouTube like full time, to the point to where I didn't have to like, you know, have like a real person job, in quotes, whatever you want to call it. So, I do have other work I have to do and get done. And then, I'm getting married in October, so I have that to look forward to. Um, so I definitely have like a lot on my plate right now, but I do try to make time just for myself to work on like my other creative endeavors, because I see those as being like more long term, in terms of, I guess, what I want to do in my life. And like I said, I always like to entertain and, entertain people as much as I can. So um, that's just something that's been a pretty big passion of mine. And, unfortunately, I don't really upload to my other channel much at all. That's my really good films channel. When I moved, I kind of moved away from my friends who I would film with and stuff, and we kind of, um, haven't caught back up to or we're not available to the point where we could be filming like once a week or anything like that. Back when we were filming like odd little, short films and stuff, short comedies. So that's something that's kind of unfortunate, but I feel like that's where my Machinimas with Halo Wars 2 kind of filled that gap because it's like kind of the best of both worlds where I can entertain and be funny, but also it's like Halo related, which I pretty much obsessed with. Like I think about Halo every day. So
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good segue into the question of what do you enjoy the most out of content creation, and then beyond that, do you have a goal that you set for your channel, like a certain amount of views or subscribers or quality of video that you want to make? Like, what do you
mhm.
foresee really good gaming going towards in the future?
So plans for really good gaming have been to wrap up my Epic Unit Battle series. I'm like 4 episodes away from Epic Unit Battle 300, and I've been 4 episodes away for like I think 8 months now because I've been doing other things. I've been uploading kind of different content to the channel. I even have a few like Halo Infinite like prediction videos and other little like random goods um, thrown in there. And there's still Halo Wars 2 stuff, but it hasn't been the unit battles. So I definitely want to get to 300. And then after that, I've contemplated like going back to Halo Wars 1 and kind of like doing some OG battles, like I was talking about before, like a shit ton of jackals versus like a shit ton of hell. They're not called hell; they're just called flamethrowers, I think, or flamers. In Halo Wars 1, like I would love to just go back and show some of the the beauty of Halo Wars 1 and just like maybe even get people back into that game because I feel like it's something that I feel like people just aren't exposed to enough. The older, the original Halo Wars 1. So there's that stuff I've mulled over doing, but I don't know, kind of getting burnt out from the epic unit battles. I kind of just want my channel to be a space where there's like a lot of interaction between like my community, and that's something that has definitely faded since the launch of Halo Wars 2, which isn't too atypical. Like when a game launches, it's pretty much at the height of its attention, so it's gradually going to go down. But I would rather upload a video that gets like hundreds of views and a lot of like comments and interaction than upload a video that gets like thousands of views and like most of the comments are just like first or like you know not much interaction. So it's just finding that healthy balance that really makes it worth it. And I think a lot of people when they watch YouTube videos, obviously like your appreciation for a YouTube video probably goes silent most of the time. Like I don't comment on every YouTube video I watch or enjoy either, but just taking that extra step to comment and say like what the favorite part of your video was, or just like a little testimonial of like why you have been watching, a channel or whatnot. Like those things go such a long way for content creators, especially when you're like on the smaller end of YouTube. And I feel like, that's just something that will always stick with me is just the comments that, that's really, just really what keeps me going, honestly, through all the like editing and all like the, long recording sessions and stuff like that. It's just like hearing people say what your videos mean to them is something that I think every content creator can agree is something that never gets old and something that you always look forward to. I mean, imagine if there was just no comment section in
Yeah.
every YouTube video. For whatever reason, they're just like, no, comments are disabled. Like, YouTube would die in like a month. Like, you know what I mean? People just, it's not about the attention. It's just about feeling like your work is appreciated. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, yeah. I completely agree. I
So
think
that's the long-winded answer. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think content creation is unique to each creator because this platform allows you to express exactly what you want to create. And I think it's cool that it's also timeless. When you upload a video, someone may not discover that video, then they fall in love with it for years after you
Hmm.
upload it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it I think just that part of content creation just makes it so cool. You know, all of the work that you're putting into a channel is almost that work is going to be maintained for the
Yeah.
rest of time.
It's archived.
Exactly. And it's
Hmm.
so YouTube is like an archive of a part of like a phase in my life. You know, I don't expect to be doing YouTube when I'm 60 years old, you know, but it'll always be there for me to go back and reflect on. And other
Hmm.
people who have enjoyed the content along with me or with you, they'll be able to go back and view the videos. If, you know, if I know a lot of creators will just delete their stuff when they're done or whatever, but, you know, I think preserving what you're most proud of is really cool. And
Hmm.
I've always liked that about YouTube. I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. You're right. Like it's an archive through the times. Like, there's just depends on what you're looking for. There's even like old videos of people, playing Halo 3 back in the day with like
Right.
shitty mics and,
Their camera was pointed.
480p.
The camera was pointed at the TV because capture cards
Yeah,
weren't a thing.
exactly. So, yeah, that's a really good point you make about, how it's archived and stuff like that. It's also interesting when you get to the point, um, as a content creator where you're looking at like your daily analytics or your hourly analytics or whatever, and you can just calculate, like it's not hard to just calculate in your head, and you can see that every second of every day somebody is watching something that you made, because you can see on the analytics like how many viewers you have per hour broken up by the minute. So even if you just have like 5 viewers a minute, and if your videos are over a minute long, you can just kind of do the math and think, well, this is like every day and it's every minute. So it's just a really weird feeling to think like that. I mean, that's just like, think of how it is for like PewDiePie and like all these content creators who have like millions, millions upon millions of people watching their videos just every second of every day. Like, think about that attention, like to have a million people watching something you created forever. Like that's a weird feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of going back to where we started when you said that, you know, you presented your film in a theater full of people. You know,
Mhm.
that feeling must have felt really cool and awesome that all these people are experiencing this video that you made. But I don't know if we ever have that same feeling as creators on YouTube, because when you post a video multiple times size wise of that theater, people are watching at that very moment, but yet
Right.
you don't feel that same sense of awesomeness.
Hmm. I
And
do like the premiere function on YouTube. I think that's like a cool experience where you can like have a live chat going as your video plays for the first time. So that's the only thing I can think of that is somewhat reminiscent of that, to experience it with them, as they're viewing it for the first time. But you're right, like, you can't, unless you like break into their house while they're watching one of your videos and be like, "Hey, did you did you subscribe? Did you leave a like?"
yeah,
Like,
but
you
then when
really
you look at
can't
the
get that.
analytics and you're like, well, you know, 70,000 people watched videos of mine this month, or, you know, whatever the number
Yeah.
is, you're like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like something, I mean, the essence of being a YouTube creator is you're trying to get attention around something. So when you just start to see the numbers that revolve around it, you just start to see how big, the Halo community really is. And it's a lot bigger than, the folks that are on Twitter and whatnot. Like the Halo community is just like ginormous. I feel like it's, the only community I can think of that's bigger than it is like Star Wars, in the sense of how much people care about Halo and how broad the audience is. Like, do you see the like the Halo spotlights like every month or whenever they
Yeah,
come out?
yeah.
They just seeing like all the different artists and things people do for Halo, like all of it's like Halo related, all the cosplay and just everything it's really breathtaking, just seeing like, how much people love this series. And it's not like there's one thing about Halo that that is the only thing people like. Some people like the armor. Some people are like us, like we're really into obviously, the RTS aspect, and you know, obviously people are into the art and the story, the lore. Like there's just so much about Halo that is special to so many people. And then to have a YouTube channel where you can represent what makes Halo so special to you and to get so many people to watch it, and it feels like you belong. It feels like, you're all sharing in what's special together.
Yeah, I agree. I think this media of Halo has connected people in ways that I don't think Bungie or Microsoft even knew would be possible, and I'm glad that 20 years in, it's still growing and it's still reaching new people. And you know, I think as fans in our passion, we are negative, and I'm especially negative towards Infinite. But I only can persuade my opinion based on what I've seen. So I could be. I hope I'm totally wrong about some of my negative thoughts on the game, but nonetheless,
Hmm.
I'm glad that it still connects with people. And yeah, I'm glad that we're able to like have conversations like this. And I just think it's cool that this medium has allowed people to express so much of what they want in so many different ways. So, uh, well, I mean, we've been going for well over an hour, so it just goes to show you how complex and awesome Halo is.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Halo brings people together. I mean, we could talk about. I feel like we could go another hour and a half if we wanted to. So yeah, we
yeah,
can wrap it up if you want.
yeah, I think this is a good stopping point. For those who have not heard or seen really good gaming before, highly encourage you to check it out. I'll put a link in the description. There's the highlights are I'd say the best are that you've made is the Machinimas are simply fantastic. I know a lot of people love those, and the epic unit battles are hilarious to watch, some of the outcomes and some of the ideas you come up with too. Didn't you
Well, thank
do
you.
didn't you do like 100 scarabs versus 100 condors or something once upon a time?
Trying to think. 100. 100 scarabs versus 100 condors. I think we did 10, but it was a
10.
lot. They're
Yeah.
so big. Yeah, there's a lot. You know what I really want to get into more is the Terminus videos. That's what I forgot to mention earlier when you asked where it wants to go more. We need to do more of the Terminus firefight videos, because that's a game mode that kind of gets overshadowed as well. And I think that would be a fun series. Is We talked about me, you, and Vengeful. We each would make like just the same unit. Like everyone makes nothing but cannon fodder,
Yeah.
and just see how long we could last, or just nothing but skitters. And all right, well, thanks for having me on, man. It was great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this was good. We'll have to play some Terminus Firefight again, and yeah, we'll have to make this kind of like a play some more Terminus Firefight as a semi-regular thing. I think that'll be good.
Hell yeah, man. I'm always down. And really, those can kind of turn into podcasts too, because of just the place that I mean, you're just waiting. There's a lot of waiting, so it kind of is almost like a podcast when you're playing Terminus Firefight as well. But no, I appreciate it, man. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, sir.